But in a more formal relationship, like working with a junior developer, you should discuss their learning goals and identify the areas that they need to improve. And just as I wouldn't teach someone learning conversational English how to write an essay for a university, you don't want to confuse someone who just wants to build, say, a simple web page by teaching them bubble sort or how to use service workers in the web. So knowing what their goals are will help you narrow down those topics. And you don't need to write an entire lesson plan or structure some kind of like curriculum, but it really does help to make a list of the things that you're going to cover. And as well as knowing what the end goal of the learner is, it really helps to learn how they learn best. So what techniques are most effective when they're learning something new? Look at the different resources available to them and find out from them what they prefer. So some people prefer reading, things like books and blog posts, and also there are journal like articles, white papers, all of those things. Some people prefer learning visually, this or from videos on YouTube, and some people prefer to just get stuck in straight away and do some coding. So for myself, I prefer to read the odd thing. Like I do read some blogs about stuff, but I don't tend to watch a hell of a lot of videos online because I find it easier when I've got the words in front of me. But generally, students tend to learn better from a variety of media rather than all the same. So when you think about when you last learned a language, there would have been reading exercise, conversation practice. You might have had to do some listening exercises or even some songs. And in the classroom setting, when you've got lots of students, you can't really cater for individual learning styles, but in that one-to-one relationship, it's a lot easier. As you ask your learner what their preferred methods are, you can point them in the direction of some resources that you know about. So maybe they would benefit from watching a video or watching a conference talk before actually doing any code. Or maybe you just want to give them some smaller JIRA tickets with some easier problems to solve, see how they get on and help them out if they get stuck. You can provide some resources for further reading for students to read down the line. Sure, many of them probably will never read it, but some will. And make sure you include some videos as well. And if you're recording a tutorial, provide a transcript so that people who prefer to read can get the information that you're giving in a way that suits them. And it's also a good win for accessibility as well. So there are two sets of core skills when learning a language: the speaking and listening, and reading and writing. Human languages tend to have spoken and written forms, and the skills are divided into productive skills, so speaking and writing, and receptive skills, that's listening and reading. Now, the speaking and listening part doesn't apply to programming particularly well, but reading and writing definitely do apply. And we think of being a developer in terms of writing code, but part of being a good developer is being able to read code that someone else has written and understand exactly what it's doing. And of course, it depends how ridiculous this code is. So remember that clean code will only get you so far if no one can actually understand what it's doing. But the same goes for English as well. So, I've seen job applications that I couldn't actually understand because they were written in words that the writer thought were really impressive, but actually didn't make a lot of sense in the long run. And in the English classroom, we'd work on these skills separately from learning the fundamentals of grammar and vocab, but it's all linked together. So these skills help to reinforce everything that you've learned by putting it into practice. And with programming languages, you've got a lot less of this to pin down before you start writing code. But when you do start writing, you'll get to grips with that terminology and the constructs of the language. And if you're teaching someone to speak English, you're not going to sit them down right at the start and ask them to write an essay, right? You give them short exercises to do, some sentences, a paragraph, then maybe a page once they've got the confidence. You don't ask them to get up in front of the class and, read some Shakespeare until they can provide like a simple sentence. And it's the same for programming as well. So with a programmer who's looking to build up their skills and take on some more advanced work, it's exactly the same. And as a senior developer and now a tech lead, I need to make sure more junior developers have the opportunities they need to build on those skills. So the first thing I do is find out what those skills are. So I literally ask them, what skills are you looking to improve? And then I have a look through the tickets that we've got and the work that we've got coming up. And I try and identify which of those pieces of work would help them to improve the skills that they want to improve. And make sure that they know you're on hand to unblock them if they get stuck. And if they are taking a really long time, then it might be time to intervene and help them out, especially if it's affecting the team's progress, and don't let them struggle on their own. But it's a really great experience for them to be given work that will challenge them in exactly the right way. So for complete newcomers to programming, short exercises that are often called kata are really helpful. And they introduce you to basic concepts one at a time, allowing you to put them into practice before moving on. For example, English students can learn a list of vocab, but it doesn't really mean very much until you actually use them in sentences. And the same goes for learning to code. You can learn what an if statement is, but if you've never actually written the code that uses an if statement to see what it doesn't really help you very much. So arguably one of the best ways to build skills as a developer is to pair program. And this is a hands-on activity, but it is much better for sharing context, getting developers used to more idiomatic programming and learning the way that you do things in your team or organization. And I've worked on teams where we paired on everything as a matter of course. And I've worked on teams where we mostly worked solo, but we paired on things now and then. And I actually prefer that way. I prefer to pair with someone when I get stuck or I'm trying to learn something. But for bringing a new team member up to speed, or for getting a junior developer to kind of learn something that you're working on, it's really invaluable. And you can do it remotely as well. Things like VS Code Live Share are absolutely fantastic for that. You might pair by taking turns to write a test and make it pass, or just timing the turns, so give everyone the same amount of time to make sure everyone gets a fair go. To get the most out of pairing, there are some things to bear in mind. And I could actually apply many of these principles to my one-on-one conversation practice with students, English students as well. So when your mentee has control of the keyboard, or as we often call it, driving, encourage them to explain what they're doing. So that's not to say they should narrate everything, but if you can get them to kind of articulate what their thought process is, then it'll help you to understand whether they're on the right track, as well as helping them to cement their own knowledge. Make sure you know exactly what it is that they want feedback on so that you can pay extra attention to it. Also, this is really important. Let them make mistakes. Don't kind of look over their shoulder and kind of go, actually, you want to do that. Don't correct the code before the error shows up, even if you can see it coming and you know exactly what's going to happen when they run that code. The compiler or the output will tell you something's wrong. So let them try and debug it themselves. And you're there if they need a nudge in the right direction. But try not to tell them exactly what's wrong unless they ask you. And even then, you could try and nudge them in the right direction some more by maybe asking some pointed questions rather than telling them outright what the problem is. What do you think is happening at this line? That kind of thing. So imagine that you were telling a story in a foreign language and your teacher kept interrupting you to say, no, that's not right. You mean this. That's not right. You mean it. It would put you off, you wouldn't know what you were doing. And another one, we've all got house styles and preferred ways of coding in our companies, right? But don't sit there and nitpick their code because it will be really off-putting. It's just like correcting the mistakes. If you see that they've used tabs, not spaces or something like that, or if you prefer to use kind of const and they're using lets in JavaScript, if what they're doing works, that's fine. You can always go through it together and explain how you would write it in the company style and look at ways of refactoring and improving what they've done. But the important thing is, does their code work? Yes or no? And if you can, get them to pair with other developers on the team as well, to give them a different point of view. Like everyone's got different ways of approaching problems. Some pairs work better than others. Like I've had colleagues that I'm really good friends with that I absolutely hate pairing with. And they'll learn how others do it. And you might even learn something from them when you next pair with them as well. So when it's your turn to drive, make sure you act natural. When I was teaching English students, I couldn't chat away at my normal speedy pace to my beginner and intermediate students because they just wouldn't understand me. And the same goes for me. I speak okay Spanish, but if someone's talking Spanish to me at a normal level, I don't know what they're saying. It seems really fast to me. And when you've got the keyboard, take care not to zoom ahead too fast, unless it's clear to you that the other person can keep up with you. And if you're a super speedy programmer whose brain can't keep up with your fingers, you'll need to pace yourself a bit. But you also shouldn't, gone too far there. You also shouldn't go too slowly as well. So when we were teaching English, we were always taught, don't speak to your students like this, because, I mean, it's not natural. They're never going to speak to, hopefully they won't speak to someone in real life who actually talks like that to them. So it doesn't help them to understand normal spoken English. And the same goes with code. It's going to be really frustrating for the person if you're working really slowly because you think it's going to be better for them. It can also interrupt the flow of concentration as well, and it might seem quite patronizing. So ask for feedback about how they're finding the pace, adjust it if you need to. And like I mentioned before, when they're driving, you should also explain what you're doing. Again, not narrating every single thing, like, I am writing a statement, I'm going to put a semicolon here. But I mean, firstly, sitting in silence while you write code is kind of boring. And it'll also help your pair understand why you're doing what you're doing. So like, oh, I'm going to read this entity from the database now so that we have the most up-to-date version. I'm going to put a lock on the database so that we make sure that we don't do a dirty read, you know, that kind of thing. And also, don't keep all the hard problems for yourself. It might be tempting. You might think you're doing them a favor by doing all the hard work. But actually, if you end up with a tricky bit of syntax or a hard problem to solve, it's a really good opportunity for them to learn something. So they should do it, and you can work through it together. So here's a good teaching technique that I picked up that you might be able to use a bit. So this is called eliciting, and it's a technique we used a lot in the classroom to get students interacting. So it's technically a range of techniques, but it involves anything that gets the learner to provide information instead of the teacher telling them. So it wasn't just to make sure they were still listening, although it definitely helped. Eliciting is a way of activating the knowledge that the students already have, as well as helping them discover things themselves, which makes them more likely to remember it. So it's helpful also for the teacher to find out what the students already know and what they need more help with. So in the classroom setting, we might elicit sentences from students by drawing pictures on the board or asking them questions about something they've just listened to. You know, what's this person doing? Or do you remember what Steve said in the recording that we just listened to? What did he order at the restaurant? With younger groups, so it's often better to nominate students to answer the questions. So actually ask them to answer, because otherwise no one will ever respond. But with adults, you can usually get people to just shout out the answer. So we can use this technique a bit when we're mentoring as well. And I would just say up front, it is a bit tricky because it can seem a little kind of odd. Like, people will know what you're doing, especially if they're adults. But for example, I mentioned before, like when you're pairing, if there's errors or something, or a particularly difficult bit of syntax, you could ask questions like, how can we find where this error is coming from? Or what should we do with this error here? How might we make this bit purple? You know, encourage them to explore their own thoughts through answering your questions. It's a bit like kind of rubber ducking, but making them rubber duck, if that makes sense. I did find this technique work really well when mentoring kids. So when I used to do coding workshops with kids, we'd get them to build websites. And for a big part of that tutorial, they're kind of just copying code, HTML code off a sheet and changing little bits. But when you actually get them to think creatively about what they can do with it, you know, how can we make this purple? Or, you know, what image do you want to show here? And then show them how to put an image in it. And they can look for the color in the CSS and put an image of their choice on it. And it really personalizes the experience for them. And they get really excited when they realize they can put Minecraft pictures on their website. But eliciting definitely works best in more formal mentoring contexts. If you're onboarding a new hire and you start asking them really weird questions, they're just going to think you're weird. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend using this technique with a really experienced developer, unless I guess they're learning a brand new language. But even then, it might come across quite patronizing. But If the person you're talking to is there to learn something new and you're trying to establish what they already know and help them to commit stuff to long-term memory and come to those answers on their own, it can be a really good technique. Just use it sparingly. So don't use it a lot. It is quite unnatural and it can kind of distract the mentee if you're not careful, or leave them quite frustrated if they've asked you a question and you just won't tell them the answer. You just keep replying with more questions. So if they don't know the answer, don't ask another question unless you're sure they know the answer. Just move on, ask someone, get them, like you could ask someone else if there's more than one student, or just tell them the answer. In workshop settings, you can ask a question now and then to see what the attendees' prior knowledge is. So what do they already know? Or to consolidate something you just taught. But when you're pairing, too many questions can actually disrupt the concentration on the code. So do keep it light. It's also important to choose your questions wisely and be careful about how you ask them as well. So it does help to ask questions that are open to a little interpretation, or that don't have a yes or no answer. Students are a lot more likely to answer if they don't feel like they're going to be wrong. So which is obviously easier with English, where there are about 5 ways of saying the same thing. But as a JavaScript developer, I feel like that's also the case for JavaScript. So you could probably say the same. And if they do get the answer wrong, don't just say, no, you're wrong. You can be encouraging and still tell them that that's not the right answer. You can say something like, not quite, close, almost, or give them a hint. Be encouraging, and if necessary, just give people a refresher on the topic you're testing them on if they really don't know the answer. All right, so that was mentoring, but the teaching skills that I've learned have also helped me massively with writing documentation. I love documentation. I think it's really important. So I'm talking about everything from the README in a repo to full tutorials, a nice long Slack post. I love writing a nice long Slack post. And documentation is often seen as a chore, which makes me very sad. And it can even be skipped entirely. But the power of good documentation should never be underestimated. So good documentation can be the difference between someone getting their work done efficiently and someone having to stop all the time to find people to ask questions. Documentation can take many forms. So there's the READMEs and the docs for the software that we build, which could be in the repo alongside the code. It could be actual code comments, or it could be hosted separately. We might write tutorials and blog posts to share with others. And of course, there's conference talks, just like this one. And it's not necessarily a written medium, but it is still a form of documentation. So many of the same rules apply. Now I'm going to illustrate the points in this section with something called Web 101, which is a self-guided tutorial that I put together at Monzo, where I work. And we're only a small team of web engineers. There's 8 of us. So much of the web work in our internal tooling is actually done by back-end engineers working in the teams that need to make those changes. And not all of them are actually super familiar with web development. So we needed something to teach them best practices and also the basics of things like web accessibility or testing. And I also wanted to create an onboarding document for new starters in web as well, because we didn't have one. And so Web 101 was born, which covers both of these bases. And it has been really well received. And I think a lot of that is down to the way we wrote it. So just like with mentoring, the first step is to identify the audience. Who is going to be consuming this documentation? Are they complete beginners to programming? Are they experienced developers looking for the query parameters to an API call? Like with Web 101, are they backend engineers who just want to do some web work? Sometimes you're going to have a real mix. So actually the challenge there is writing documentation that suits everybody. And in the world of teaching, teachers usually assign work for the majority of the class. So at a level that you're pretty sure a majority of the class will be fine with. And there'll be stretch exercises, so additional work for people who actually work a bit faster and maybe have a higher skill level. And we can apply this to the technical documentation that we write as well. Less experienced engineers will be able to learn at a level that suits them, and more experienced engineers can quite happily skim over the stuff that they already know. So here we've got a section on the basics of GraphQL, which we use at Monzo, and we've got a link to skip to the actual tutorial work if they don't need the primer on what GraphQL actually is. Now, I want to talk a bit about the importance of register. And this is a word that we don't hear very often in terms of language in English. And certainly if English is not your first language, it might not be a term that you're familiar with, which is totally cool. It means the variety of language that you use for a particular purpose or situation. So when talking to my English class, I might use a more simplified version of English, whereas when I'm giving a conference talk, I might use words like whereas. So I might use some slightly longer words. I'll use a lot more technical words because I'm talking to technical people. And sometimes it's actually a lot less conscious. So you might use more slang words with your friends. You might swear more. I certainly do. You might use less slang words, and hopefully you swear less with your manager at work as well. And you don't even think about it, you know. And when it comes to written language, especially in a business context, we tend to talk about tone of voice. And this is almost like the register of your writing. So how you say what you're saying. And obviously this can vary massively depending on what country you're in, because many different countries have different, obviously they have different cultures, and the way that we express ourselves differs massively. So I just want to kind of make a disclaimer that what works for us in the United Kingdom might not work for you in other countries. But at Monzo, we've got a very distinctive, friendly tone of voice, which is aimed at making sure that all of our customers can understand things like terms and conditions or weird banking words that, you know, there's lots of jargon in banking and lots of acronyms and abbreviations that people might not understand. So we want to make sure that, you know, our customers have bank accounts with us. We want to make sure they can understand everything they're signing up for. And so our tone of voice was drafted by our amazing head of writing, who's called Harry Ashbridge. And the article here, and I've actually given the link at the bottom, has some fantastic tips for keeping your writing simple and clear. Now, the world of programming is obviously enormous. There are many of us from all over the world here today, and people might be reading your documentation from all over the world with different levels of English. So if you're writing in English, obviously. So writing in a clear and concise and informal manner will mean that everyone can understand what you're saying. And it's also good from an accessibility point of view, because the more complicated your writing is, the less likely it is that people who have difficulties reading or understanding things will find it easy to understand. Another good point is to not make sure that you don't assume that someone already knows something. So when teaching English students, we had to be really careful not to assume that they knew, say, the things that were tied to the local culture. So I was in London, I might use slang in my everyday speech that is kind of not necessarily just for London, but certainly English slang. And a lot of the students actually might have learned a lot of their English from American TV shows. So there's a bit of a kind of communication gap there. And, you know, these words might seem obvious to us, but they can actually make the learner feel quite disheartened if they don't understand what we're saying. And so we did actually teach them slang as a formal lesson, so that because they need it in everyday language, but we used a lot more common terms when we talked to them in class. And with documentation, assuming too much prior knowledge can actually have the same effect. You need to make sure your reader has sufficient context of what you're teaching them for your documentation to actually be useful. So if you don't want to spend the time explaining all the background information that's required, you can give some kind of links to begin at the beginning before you get stuck into the actual documentation, to outline what the required background for this document is, and add those links so the reader can find out more if they need to. So in Web 101, we take users through creating a new view on our internal customer service system. And we make sure to add a background on, you know, what that system actually is before we get into the code. And we've added explanations for various concepts for whoever needs them, but we put them as call outs, so kind of highlighted sections rather than in the text of the body, so that it's easy for you to just kind of skip over them if you don't need them. So for example, here we're guiding the reader through creating a GraphQL query using the use query hook in React. But actually, some of our readers might not know what React hooks are, so we've added a link here to explain what React hooks are before going into the detail of the use query hook. I would recommend getting a less experienced developer to read through your documentation to identify anything they don't have context on. So then you can kind of expand on those things if you need to. A great game that we used to play with our English students was called Articulate. So this is where you're given a word and you have to explain what that word means to the team without actually saying the word. So it was a really good way for students to practice their vocabulary, for one thing, guessing what people are saying, but also explaining things. So being able to explain something in a foreign language is really important. Especially when you're in a foreign country and you need to ask for something and you don't know what the word is, then being able to articulate what those words are. I once needed some tissues in a pharmacy in Spain, and I had to ask for something like small papers for my nose. And thankfully, the pharmacist knew what I meant when I said that. But being able to kind of get to your point without using the actual word is a really good way. Well, it's a really important skill in a foreign language. And it's something we had to do as teachers as well. Like if a student asks us what a word means, we can't just use that word to explain it. And we have to explain its meaning in terms that the student can understand. So being able to explain technical concepts in a simple terms is such a useful skill. I really can't say that enough. And a clear explanation can be the difference between someone sitting and banging their head against the desk and feeling really stupid and someone just getting it. And some concepts obviously are easy to explain than others. I still can't really explain how Docker works to someone. I'm sure some people have managed to do that, but I kind of I know it in my head, but I can't explain it. But a good explanation can really transform your documentation. So if you want to practice your skills explaining technical concepts, you could put together a list of words, right? List of technical words, and have a game of programming Articulate with your friends and colleagues. This sounds ridiculous, but it is really good practice for being better communicators. So the non-technical folk in your team will be very glad for it when you can explain exactly what you're working on in non-technical terms. And in Web 101, we could assume a base level of programming knowledge. Like everyone who reads it is going to be a programmer already. But things like GraphQL would not be familiar with to everyone. So we had to explain what that was. And the tutorial centers around donuts. I mean, I don't know why it's a thing, but we're taking the reader through writing a front-end view to make donut purchases, very fake donut purchases, sadly. But we use this to illustrate what a schema is in terms of GraphQL. And then we explain exactly what queries and mutations are and what the various constructs in the schema do. Significant words are bolded and explanations are kept simple, so we don't use too many words. Another great way to explain technical concepts simply is to use analogies. So we'd use these in the English classroom too for English words that our students didn't understand. So we describe them with real-world concepts and stories to model the meaning. So, for example, you might describe embarrassed by just describing a series of really embarrassing events as if they happened to you, and then finishing by saying, I was so embarrassed. And then they kind of understand, oh, that's what that means. That's the feeling, right? And a few years ago, I worked on a team where I was implementing an OAuth style authentication flow with refresh tokens. And our product manager wanted to know what it involved, right? So what am I actually working on that's taking all this time? And she had no background in tech. So I ended up using this ridiculous analogy involving a secret clubhouse where you say a password to get in. And there's a secret handshake, which is the access token that you need to actually speak to anyone. And the handshake changes every 5 minutes. And you're given a special badge, which is a refresh token that you need to show when you want to learn the new handshake. And when you leave the clubhouse, they take that badge off you and you get a new one the next time you come in. It's really silly, but it worked. It got the message across and she kind of understood the flow that we were working on. So you could do this, again, you could do this with your colleagues, come up with really ridiculous analogies like that for technical concepts and see if they actually work on your non-technical friends and family members as well. I spoke before about the importance of knowing your learner, so understanding their goals and intentions, and what you teach them should be relevant for their goals. And with ReadMeet and tutorials, it's a bit easier for this because you kind of know who's going to be reading it. But for a blog post, you can imagine who the target audience might be and write for them. Because if someone who's kind of not your target audience comes across their blog post, they're probably just not going to read it, right? But presenting a list of facts to the reader is actually only going to get you so far. Now, as a teacher, I would teach my students all sorts. So writing a letter, describing horrible injuries. We had a lesson on the F word once and swearing, with all the ways that it can be used in English. And if students don't know why they're learning it, it's not going to be nearly as effective. So you learn how to write letters so that you can, say, apply for a visa or write a cover letter for a job. You might need to make a doctor's appointment sometime when living abroad if you get hurt. Or living in a foreign country, you're going to hear people swearing and you need to understand what they're saying. So with documentation, explaining why is going to help the reader understand exactly what they're doing. Why do we need these environment variables? Or why is it bad to give an on-click attribute to a div element in HTML? So giving that additional context will make things seem a lot clearer to the reader. I've got an Apple Watch recently and it keeps going off and I feel like an old person. So yeah, giving that additional context is going to make things seem a lot clearer to the reader and make it seem a lot less like magic, basically. So in Web 101, we made sure to explain things like, why do we run a build script? So for a lot of backend developers, they think browsers already understand JavaScript, right? So why do we need to compile this? Well, the answer is that we're using React and we need to transpile it into JavaScript using Babel, right? Or for example, why should we use semantic HTML elements like main and footer instead of just divs everywhere? It gives you that extra bit of clarity on what you're doing. And it actually, especially with the semantic HTML example, it does make the reader a lot more likely to actually do it in the future. Now, imagine learning a new language, whether that's human language or programming language, and trying to get your head around a really difficult concept. So look at these sentences. So they're examples of what we call modal verbs. And imagine trying to get your head around this as a non-native speaker. I mean, a lot of you are non-native speakers, right? And I'm sure you have encountered the pains of learning English. These are, modal verbs are constructions of multiple verbs that kind of, it's been a long time since I taught English, but basically you've got the kind of, like tense, like the past tense and the present tense. So like, I should have been doing it, something I should have done in the past. And yeah, I can't teach English anymore and too much in the world of coding, but I mean, it's a nightmare to teach. So I can only imagine what a nightmare it is to learn, right? And obviously some people find grammar a lot easier than others. I've always been better at grammar when learning other languages than, say, vocabulary, which I always forget. And in one Spanish class I took, I was really struggling with understanding something. And I said it was difficult. And the teacher goes, no, it's easy. And it was horrible. I felt really bad and I didn't learn anything. Imagine looking through the docs for a library that you're using and being presented with this sentence. Simply synthesize the circuit, then get to the VGA sensor through the online HTTP address. It makes literally no sense. And yes, that is because it is literal nonsense. But for someone reading a technical document about something they're not familiar with, that might well have been what you wrote, right? What seems simple to you won't be simple to everyone. So we don't use the word simply or just, basically, anything like that in Web 101. All it does is make people feel bad if they don't know that, if they don't understand it or they doesn't seem simple to them. So ban those words from your vocabulary when you're kind of explaining technical concepts to people, please. So we got some great feedback on Web 101, largely down to that consistent and clear writing style, that background information that we gave, and the thorough explanations that we wrote. So I can confirm that it does work. And I've given you a lot of things to try out in this talk. So if you want to put them to the test, here are some things you can try. Now, full disclosure, I gave this talk to a local meetup in the UK. So some of these examples are a bit UK specific, but you could find an online mentoring thing. So a lot of these, like CodeBar, I know is an international organization now. So that's one-on-one mentoring opportunities. And most of their workshops are online now. So it doesn't even matter if you're not in the same country. In the UK, Code First Girls is an organisation that runs mentoring workshops with students. You could find a junior developer in your company who wants to improve their skills, or you could offer to onboard someone who's starting at your company. As for documentation, contribute to open source projects on GitHub, but in the spirit of knowing about the problems with things like Hacktoberfest, please make sure that your contributions are valuable and they actually add something. You could start a blog. Blogging is cool now again, which is great. As someone who used to have a blog when I was like 10, I'm very excited to have a blog again. And dev.to is a great website to start kind of practicing your technical writing as well. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry about the technical hiccups at the beginning there. As always, you can get in touch with me on Slack after this talk, or find me on Twitter, or send me an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie. It was really a tsunami of information, a lot of things to keep in mind for people that want to become mentors. And now it's the time for our two games. Andreas is going to try and become the moderator of the gaming. So, Andreas, are you here?
Hello, Ilya.
Yes, he's here. So the stage is yours.
Hello, guys. Hello from me as well. Welcome, and thank you for being here and helping us create the first GNG DevFest. So I'm Andreas Lefkadis. I'm from Cyprus, and I'm going to try and set up the quiz for the second time. So I'm going to try to read the questions and answers as well for you this time. So whatever delay you may see on the screen, you just can hear my questions as I tell them to you and try to answer as we go along. So I'm setting up right now. So the pin for the quiz is 4687894. I'm going to copy paste this for you in the chat. And we're going to wait for a few minutes until all players join. So whoever wins should send a screenshot with his winning prize on Slack, either on my name, Andreas Lefkadis, or Michalis Dimitriou, or in the general channel in Slack, just so we know that who matches what username in Kahoot. We can see that a lot of you are joining. I'm going to wait for a few more minutes until all of you get the chance to join. The link, I think it's a play.kahoot. I think it's just kahoot.it. I'm going to send to you here. So you just enter the website, type the pin I sent, or you may just notice it on my screen, 4687894. So we extended the duration of each question, so we could see all the questions pop up in the screen as I'm screen sharing, because we'll have a bit of a delay. I'm going to also announce the questions and answers for you to answer, and hopefully we can run it smoothly this time. Okay, we have 33 people in. Come on, guys. This is your chance to win a Jetbreak license. Thirty-five people are in. Let me know if anybody tries to join and is not successful, so we can wait for him. Just right here in the chat. Anybody having any problems? Okay, 36 people in. I think we're gonna start now. 37. Sophie just joined. All right, here we go. So how many consoles have been developed by Nintendo? That's the question. The red answer is 7, the blue answer is 1, the yellow answer is 4, and the green answer is 12. So how many consoles have been developed by Nintendo? Red is 7, blue is 1, yellow is 4, and green is 12. You still have 65 seconds. Let me know if you see the screen. The question is how many consoles have been developed by Nintendo? The red answer is 7, the blue answer is 1, the yellow answer is 4, and the green answer is 12. How many consoles have been developed by Nintendo? Red is 7, blue is 1, yellow is 4, and the green is 12. Yeah, we're a bit slow because we want everyone to see the screen loading up as I screen share. If everybody answers, I will get notified and we will continue with the next questions, but I can see that 5 of you haven't answered yet. Can you see the questions on the screen? So the correct answer is 7, is the red answer. You can't see the screen. Well, you just have to settle with me dictating the questions and the answers. Because some of you can see it and some of you can't see it. So we have Magagi as top right now. Let's go to the second question. Who is the oldest video game character? That's the question. Who is the oldest video game character? The red answer is Mario. The blue answer is Wreck-It Ralph. The yellow answer is Link. And the green answer is Pac-Man. So who is the oldest video game character? Red is Mario, blue is Wreck-It Ralph, yellow is Link, and green is Pac-Man. We have 5 answers in. Come on, people. If you answer it quicker, we should go to the next. Who is the oldest video game character? Red answer is Mario, blue answer is Wreck-It Ralph, yellow answer is Link with a K, and green answer is Pac-Man. Who is the oldest video game character? Mario, Wreck-It Ralph, Link, or Pac-Man? I can see that you can hear the music now. 32 answers in. We're still waiting for 5 people. 33 answers. Who is the oldest video game character? Mario, Ralph, Link, or Pac-Man. 5 seconds, 4, 3. Okay, most of you got it correctly. The answer was Pac-Man, the green answer. So the next question is, in the Mr. Robot series, what operating system did Elliot use? Red answer is Windows XP, blue answer is Macintosh OS, yellow answer is Kali Linux, and the green answer is FreeBSD. The question is, in the Mr. Robot series, what operating system did Elliot use? Red answer is Windows XP, blue answer is Macintosh OS, yellow answer is Kali Linux, and green answer is FreeBSD. We are trying to show the questions, so we have a bit of a delay with the screen sharing, but you can hear my voice while dictating the questions. So the question now is, in the Mr. Robot series, what operating system did Elliot use? Red is Windows XP, blue is Macintosh OS, yellow is Kali Linux, and green is FreeBSD. Here is a question about the Kahoot logo, and the answers are on the bottom. In the Mr. Robot series, what operating system did Elliot use? Elliot is the main character of the show. The red answer is Windows XP, Macintosh OS, Kali Linux, or FreeBSD. So most of you got it right again this time. Let's see the scoreboard. Makagi is still on top. Sophie is closing in. We have a Mr. Robot here. Okay, fourth question. When was the Pong game released? The red answer is 1985. The blue answer is 1982. The yellow answer is 1970. And the green answer is 1972. So when was the Pong game released? Pong is spelled P-O-N-G. The red answer is 1985, the blue answer is 1982, the yellow answer is 1970, and the green answer is 1972. Red is 1985, blue is 1982, yellow is 1970, and green is 1972. When was the Pong game released? P-O-N-G. You have just 17 answers in. Come on, guys, answer the question. You have 30 seconds left. When was the Pong game released? No Google searches. The red answer is 1985, the blue answer is 1982, the yellow answer is 1970, and the green answer is 1972. 10 seconds left. So the answer was 1972, the green answer. And we have Mary just got on top with Sophie closing in. The fifth question now. Which of the following characters is not part of Mario's Brothers universe? Is not part of Mario's Brothers universe. So the red answer is Kirby, blue answer is Yoshi, yellow answer is Mario, and green answer is Donkey Kong. So which of the following characters is not part of the Mario Brothers universe? The red answer is Kirby, blue answer is Yoshi, yellow answer is Mario, and green answer is Donkey Kong. Which of these is not part of Mario's universe? Mario's Brothers universe. So red answer again is Kirby, blue answer is Yoshi, yellow answer is Mario, and green answer is Donkey Kong. 23 answers. in. Somebody got stuck. I think I'm gonna try to close the video for better connection. So, which of the following characters is not part of the Mario Bros universe? The red answer is Kirby, the blue answer is Yoshi, the yellow answer is Mario, and the green answer is Donkey Kong. 3, 2, 1. I hope you answered all. And the correct answer is Kirby, the red answer. That was a hard one for all of you. So how is the scoreboard now? We have Mr. Robot on top. Mary just got third. So let's go to the next question. So the sixth question is, what is the name of the first artificial intelligence assistant of Iron Man? That's an easy one. Red answer is Jenkins. Blue answer is Alfred. Yellow answer is Tars. And the green answer is Jarvis. So which is the name, what is the name, sorry, of the first AI assistant of Iron Man? Red is Jenkins, blue is Alfred, yellow is Tars, and green is Jarvis. The first AI assistant of Iron Man. Red answer is Jenkins, blue answer is Alfred, yellow answer is Tars, T-A-R-S, and the green answer is Jarvis. Come on, guys, 30 seconds left, 29 answers in. If you don't know it, just pick any. What is the name of the first AI assistant of Iron Man? Red answer is Jenkins, blue answer is Alfred, yellow answer is Tars, and the green answer is Jarvis. 10 seconds left. Jenkins, Alfred, Tars, or Jarvis, the first AI assistant of Iron Man. Most of you knew this. Is Jarvis, of course, the green answer. So let's go to the next question. Mr. Robot is still on top. Seventh question. Which programming language was used to code Super Mario Brothers? Red answer is Go language. The blue answer is 6502 assembler. The third answer, the yellow answer is C language. And the green answer is Flutter. So which of these programming languages was used to code Super Mario Brothers? Red answer is Go language. Blue answer is 6502 assembler. Yellow answer is C language. And the green answer is Flutter. Go language, 6502 assembler, C language, or Flutter, the first programming language that was used to code Super Mario Brothers. We can't go to the next one because we still have 35 seconds left. I can see that you're still answering. Which programming language was used to code Super Mario Brothers? Red answer is Go. Blue answer is 6502 assembler. Yellow answer is C language. And green answer is Flutter. I don't know if you can see the screen. Let me know in the comments if the screen actually loads up to the next question, or you're just depending on my voice. So which programming language was used to code Super Mario Brothers? Go, 6502 assembler, C, or Flutter? And the answer is 6502 assembler, the blue answer. And we have many correct answers. Sophie is on top now. So the eighth question. What is the name of the chaser ghost, red, in Pac-Man with the red color? So the red answer is Inky. The blue answer is Blinky. The yellow answer is Bob. And the green answer is Toad. So what is the name of the chaser ghost in Pac-Man? The red thing that tries to kill Pac-Man. So the red answer is Inky, the blue answer is Blinky, the yellow answer is Bob, and the green answer is Todd. What is the name of the chaser ghost in Pac-Man with the red color? So the red answer is Inky, I-N-K-Y. The blue answer is Blinky, B-L-N-K-Y. The yellow answer is Bob, and the green answer is Todd, T-O-A-D. What is the name of the chaser ghost? The red thing that tries to kill Pac-Man in the game. Red answer is Inky, blue answer is Blinky, yellow answer is Bob, green answer is Todd. We have 29 answers. I think we are 35 overall, so 4 answers left now. The name of the chaser ghost in Pac-Man. Most of you get it correctly. We have just 5, 6 wrong answers. Sophie is still on top with Mary second. We have another 2 questions, I think. So the 9th question, how many Android loan statues are there? The red answer is 5, the blue answer is 10, the yellow answer is 59, and the green answer is 18, 1-8. So how many Android loan statues are there? The statues that we see in I don't know, San Francisco, in Google, the red answer is 5, the blue answer is 10, the yellow answer is 59, and the green answer is 18, 1-8. How many loan statues of Android are there? 5, 10, 59, or 18? I hope you can see my screen now and you can actually see the answers as well. But if not, how many Android loan statues are there? 5, 10, 59, or 18? Red answer is 5, blue answer is 10, yellow answer is 59, green answer is 18. The statues that we see in San Francisco, headquarters of Google, I think, each of these represent another different version of Android, most often. So how many Android loan statues are there? 5, 10, 59, or 18? And some of you didn't answer this question. Sophie is still on top with Ario, who is fired up. Last question of the quiz. In which of the following movies Nmap CLI was used to hack the power grid of a city? The blue answer is The Matrix. Sorry, the red answer is The Matrix. The blue answer is The Black Hat. The yellow answer is War Games. And the green answer, The Imitation Game. So the question is, in which of the following movies Nmap CLI was used to hack the power grid of a city? Red answer is The Matrix, blue answer is Black Hat, yellow answer is War Games, and green answer is The Imitation Game. Which of these movies Nmap CLI, N-M-A-P CLI, was used to hack the power grid of a city? Matrix, Black Hat, War Games, or The Imitation Game? Red answer is The Matrix, blue answer is Black Hat, yellow answer is War Games, and green answer is The Imitation Games. Nmap CLI, where was it used? In which movie? Red answer, the movie, The Matrix, sorry. Blue answer, Black Hat. Yellow answer, War Games. Green answer, The Imitation Game. And time's up. Okay. And the final results are Thanos is got the third place. Ariok got the second place, and Sophie, I assume. Yes, Sophie with the 7 out of 10 questions is the first place. So congratulations, everyone. We can now go ahead and start the quiz number 3. So let me, you can bear with me. I'm going to start quiz number 3. So let me know if you can see the screen and the delay of the screen in the questions you're seeing. Let me know if you would like to read, for me to read the questions a bit slower or a bit quicker. How are you guys holding up? Are you able to play okay? Hi, Sophie. Thank you for giving us the talk. So the pin is generated. I'm going to copy and paste it here. This is the quiz number 3 with 3 additional IntelliJ license for you to win. This is the code. I pasted in the chat. Is 6024868. Let me know if you want me to read the question slower or quicker, if you guys are okay with how the game is progressing. Just go to kahoot.it and paste the pin that I've shared with you. I'm gonna paste it again here. 6024868. I have 24 people in, 25. If you can, for those of you who won, share your screenshot in Slack so we would know who is who, because we only see your username in Kahoot. Share your screenshot either in the general channel or share it to me, Andreas Lefkadis, or Ilias Babachristos, to anyone who is organizing the event, so we would know who's who and who to contact in Slack to get them license, the IntelliJ license. So just screenshot your winning prize, go to Slack, share it to Ilias or to me, Andreas Lefkadis, so we would know who's who. Okay, we have 31 people in. Shall we start? Ilias, if you can give me the go-ahead. Okay, I think we have 31 people in. I don't think anyone is joining, so we could start. 32 people. Okay, shall we wait a bit more? For the third quiz, as we said, Zaharia, you can go to kahoot.it and paste the pin that I've shared, and you can see it on my screen as well as I screen share. The pin is this one, kahoot.it. We pasted in the chat here, or you can see it on my screen share. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Quiz number 3. Okay, first question. In 3, 2, 1. Which of the following is an open source license? The red answer is do what the fuck you want to public license. The blue answer is Apache Helicopter public license. The yellow answer is GND standards license, and the green answer is GNU-XF license. So which of the following is an open source license? The red answer is do what the fuck you want to public license. The yellow answer is GND standard license. The blue answer is Apache helicopter public license, and the green answer is GNU-XF license. The red answer is do what the fuck you want to public license. The blue answer is Apache helicopter public license. The yellow answer is GND standard license, and the green answer is GNU-XF license. So which of these licenses is open source? Red answer is do what the fuck you want to public license. Blue answer is Apache helicopter public license. Yellow answer is GND's standard license. And the green answer is GNU-XF license. Someone, if you could please paste the Slack channel's link on the chat for Aris. Which, now the correct answer is the red answer, do what the fuck you want to public license. That was a hard one. I can see 3 of you got it correctly. And let's go to our second question. Hope this one is easier for you. F society is, red answer, a society with high class members. Blue answer, a sports brand. Yellow answer, a hacktivist group at the best series ever. And the green answer, the finance hacking division of Anonymous. So F society is, the red answer is a society with high class members. The blue answer, a sports brand. The yellow answer, a hacktivist group at the best series ever. The green answer, the finance hacking division of Anonymous. So the red answer is a society with high class members. The blue answer, a sports brand. The yellow answer, a hacktivist group at the best series ever. Or the green answer, which is the finance hacking division of Anonymous. F society. What is F society? A society with high class members, a sports brand, a hacktivist group at the best series ever, or the finance hacking division of Anonymous. So the red answer again is a society with high class members. The blue answer is a sports brand. The yellow answer is the hacktivist group at the best series ever. And the green answer, the finance hacking division of Anonymous. The correct answer was yellow, a hacktivist group at the best series ever. And that series is Mr. Robot, of course. And we have Kipro P as first with Adminandre as second. Okay, let's go to the first question. The machine developed in the movie imitation game cracks. Red answer, nuts. Blue answer, the Enigma code. Yellow answer, eggs. Or the green answer, the Diffie-Hellman codes. So the machine that was developed in the movie imitation game cracks. What does it crack? The red answer is nuts. The blue answer is Enigma code. The yellow answer is eggs. And the green answer is the Diffie-Hellman codes. Imitation game movie, the machine that was developed in that movie, what does it crack? Red answer, nuts. Blue answer, the Enigma code. Yellow answer, eggs. Or the green answer, the Diffie-Hellman codes. What did the machine develop in the movie imitation game crack? The red answer is nuts. The blue answer is the Enigma code. The yellow answer is eggs. And the green answer is the Diffie-Hellman codes. So just put your answers in. Red answer is nuts, blue answer is the Enigma code, yellow answer is X, and the green answer is the Diffie-Hellman codes. So the correct answer is the Enigma code, of course, and most of you got it correct. We have a change in the scoreboard. Minandre is first. Okay, let's go to the fourth question. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. This sequence of buttons represent red answer, World of Warcraft game, the blue answer, League of Legends, yellow answer, Konami, or the green answer, Yazuki. So the combination of buttons up, up, down, down, left, right, BA represent red answer, World of Warcraft, blue answer, League of Legends, yellow answer, Konami, green answer, Yazuki. So up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. This combination of buttons, you used to press it when you were playing World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Konami, or Yazuki. The red answer is World of Warcraft, the blue answer is League of Legends, the yellow answer is Konami, and the green answer is Yazuki. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. Red answer is World of Warcraft, blue answer is League of Legends, yellow answer is Konami, blue answer is Yazuki. Most of you have answered. And the correct answer is yellow answer, Konami. And okay, we have totally different scoreboard now. Let's go to the fifth question. Which of the following is not Google's April's Fool prank? So which of the following is not Google's April's Fool prank? Red answer is Candy. Blue answer is Gmail mic drop. Yellow answer is Google Maps Disco. And green answer is Google Hello World. So which of the following is not Google's April's Fool prank? Red answer is Caddy, C-A-D-I-E. Blue answer is Gmail mic drop or mic drop. Yellow answer is Google Maps photo. And green answer is Google's Hello World. So the red answer is Caddy. Blue answer is Gmail mic drop. Yellow answer is Google's Maps Disco. And green answer is Google Hello World. Which of these is not Google's April's Fool prank? So the three of these answers was actually conducted by Google as an April's Fool prank, but one of these did not. Red answer is Caddy, C-A-D-I-E. Blue answer is Gmail mic drop. Yellow answer is Google Maps Disco, and green answer is Google Hello World. And the correct answer is Google Hello World, because all other three have been April's Fool prank by Google. And now we have as a first Andy Mac, and second VSA. I think VSA already has one IntelliJ license, but good job. So the sixth question is, the word bug that we use in coding comes from, the red answer is the bug button in the toolbar of IntelliJ. The blue answer is a function in Fortran called bug that was not working correctly. The yellow answer is an actual bug, a moth, that was found on a 1947 computer preventing normal operation. And the green answer is invented by Uncle Bob in his book Diamond Code, published in 1990. So the word bug that we use in coding comes from red answer, the red bug button that we can see in IntelliJ. The blue answer is a function in Fortran called bug that was not working correctly. The yellow answer is an actual bug that was found on a 1947 computer, preventing it from a normal operation. And the green answer is invented by Uncle Bob in his book Diamond Code, published in 1990. So which of these actually gave the word bug that we use in programming? Red answer, the bug button in the toolbar of IntelliJ. Blue answer, a function in Fortran called bug that was not working correctly. Yellow answer, an actual bug that was found on a computer back in 1974, and that's the correct answer. So most of you knew that. That's good. And we have Sodia as first now. Let's go to the 7th question. How can you close a tab on Google Chrome? You can try it now if you want. The red answer is Control Z, the blue answer is Control Y, the yellow answer is Control W, and the green answer is Control C. So how can you close a single tab on Google Chrome using the buttons Control Z, Control Y, Control W, or Control C? Red answer is Control Z, blue answer is Control Y, yellow answer is Control W, and green answer is Control C. Somebody, if you can please help Aris join the Slack channel. Aris, you can do it after we finish. So how can you close a Google tab on Google Chrome? The red answer is Control Z, the blue answer is Control Y, the yellow answer is Control W, and the green answer is Control C. 30 seconds left with 24 answers in. Come on guys, that's an easy one. How can you close a tab on Google Chrome? The red answer is Control Z, blue answer is Control Y, yellow answer is Control W, and green answer is Control C. 10 seconds left. And I think the next one is our final question. So yeah, we can see that we have most of the answers are correct. The answer was Control W. And the score for now is IT Rulli as first and Speedfair with as a second place. Okay, one question left. The final question. Which of the following is not a JavaScript framework? The red answer is RICO, R-I-C-O. The blue answer is Prototype. The yellow answer is Joko, J-O-C-O. And the green answer is Dojo, D-O-J-O. So which of the following is not a JavaScript framework? The red answer is RICO. The blue answer is Prototype. The yellow answer is Joko. And the green answer is Dojo. So one of these answers is not a JavaScript framework. All the other ones are JavaScript frameworks. The red answer is RICO, R-I-C-O. The blue answer is Prototype. The yellow answer is Joko, J-O-C-O. And the green answer is Dojo, D-O-J-O. 30 seconds left. So this one, I think it's a hard one. Which of the following is not a JavaScript framework? The red answer is RICO, R-I-C-O. The blue answer is Prototype. The yellow answer is Joko, J-O-C-O. And the green answer is Dojo, D-O-J-O. 5 seconds left. And the correct answer is green answer, Dojo. D-O-J-O is not a JavaScript framework. Only 4 of you found the correct answer. So that was a pretty tough one. So the final score and our winners are IT Rulli as third, Vasilis N as second, and the first is Sodia. Congratulations, everyone. Don't forget to send a screenshot to Slack. Just a description of your phone, of your screen of your phone, showing that you have one with your username, and send it to Slack either to me, Andreas Lefkadis, or to General's channel, or to Ilias Vachristos, or to Michalis Dimitriou, or to Andreas Loizou, anyone who.
And with that, our DevFest has come to an end. From behalf of the organizing team, dream team, actually, we want to thank you for being here with us today for 5.5 hours. We want to thank also the 8 people that were awesome speakers. And we hope that you had a good time with us. Please send your screenshot in order to send you our vouchers. And feel free to use the hashtag DevFest Hellas 2020 on your social media and make some noise. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.